This is our original image, and then here is our final product. So let's go ahead and show you how I did that edit, starting with the raw image right here, captured from the drone, ISO 100, 4.7 millimeters, f2.2. All these things are fixed. The only thing I had control over was the shutter speed. So it was shot at 1/440th of a second. So everything should be in focus in terms of shutter speed. So shouldn't be too much. See right here, we don't have too much of blurriness. So what we're going to do is edit to our liking in terms of white balance. On this particular image, we're going to go for a very natural look. We're not going to do anything crazy. So we're going to go ahead and just bump that up a little bit, maybe down a little bit. So now I want to bring more details of the buildings. But we do that by lowering the highlights, and then boosting up the shadows. So we get a lot more shadow detail over here. And then we're going to add a little bit of contrast and pop by bringing down the blacks and increasing the whites. And of course we want to add a little bit more contrast. So right over there, and then just a little bit of clarity. So where we started from, where we're going, and where we're at. It looks really nice so far. I'm going to increase the contrast even more. I'm going to increase the vibrance, give the buildings and the sky a little bit of pop. I'll skip the tone curve, and I said we're going to keep it very natural, and we will, but I want to see how things would look if I was to add some stylizing to it. So again, if we just mess around with the hue for a little bit, we get a sense of it. But again, we're keeping everything natural, so we're going to leave those things alone, even the saturation and the vibrance of it, based on everything else that we've done. I like it already. We're not going to do anything with split toning. The sharpening, just a very little, 40 sharpening, and because we brought out some shadow detail, I'm going to do a little bit of noise reduction. And right now we're looking good. A lot of detail in the buildings. You can even see cars being parked over here. So we zoom back out. Everything looks great. Remove chromatic aberration. I will auto align to see how this picture is straightened, and that's great. That's really nice because we started here and now they straighten out the photo. So we're basically done over here. We're not even going to add any post-crop vignette. So we're going to hit Control E or right click, edit in, Photoshop. Okay, now that we're in Photoshop, Control J because I don't want to work on the background layer. And very simple what we're going to do. We're going to go to the selection tool, select this layer, which is, you know what, let's go ahead and zoom in. Command plus to zoom in, spacebar to the hand tool. We're going to go ahead and add this selection over here. So add that, and then hold down the option button. We're going to deselect some of the things that we don't want. So keep in mind this is just a quick mask. Okay, and we are looking good. So now Control J or Command J, put it on its own layer. So that's what we have. And then from here what we're going to do is we're going to blur. Go to motion blur. And since we're trying to fake a ND filter, and based on the way that we're looking at it, it should go left and right. Now we want to increase that. Let's see what happens at 150. It looks good. It looks really good. I like this at 150. I know there's a little bit of inconsistency right there. I'm not too concerned about it because we could always fix it if we wanted to. So let's go ahead and click OK. Command 0, go back out. It looks good so far. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the same thing, but we're going to add a separate sky. So we're going to replace the sky. I'll just grab a quick sky from my Replace Skies folder. Let's go ahead and use this one. We're just going to drag that onto our document, bring it up right about here. Let's see what it looks like. We're going to lower the opacity. Because these are clouds, we can pretty much do whatever we want them because clouds have their own unique shape, right? So let's go ahead and bring that up, bring it out, expand it. And so let's see. We have that, we have the opacity. So it looks like it's pretty good. I'll probably drag it down a little bit more just to make sure that we don't have any of our this area over here to be flowing through. I'll click OK, and then the way that I make this to be a seamless blend, I'll right click, go to blend options, and then from here I'll just mess with the blend if. I'll start with the underlying layer, go to the right, and you can already see that the buildings are already coming out of it, popping out, and we want to go as far as we can until we see the blend if affecting the sky. So we're going to go ahead and go to the right and right there. So let's bring that back, and then we'll bring it back ever so slightly more. Hold down the option button. We're going to now click and drag to the right, and what that's going to do is just give us a better feathering of our selection. Same thing on the top. Let's do the same thing, and wow, look at the buildings are starting to show, and this has just been an amazing type of blending of these two images. So we're going to leave it right here. I can also tell that the bridge from the cloud layer is already starting to come through. So let me go ahead and just click OK, and then move this down ever so slightly. And then go back to our blending options. And let's see, hold down the command just to go ahead and separate that. See how it's affecting it right there. And now we want to go explore what it's going to do to the RGB channels individually, the RGB colors. And it's actually doing a really good thing, so check it out. So if we start here, we go this way, it's essentially removing a lot of the mask that's on the buildings. Same thing with the top layer, and right about there. And then let's go ahead and do it with the greens as well. Right about there, and then the reds. That's good right about there, so I'll hold down the option, and we'll see how that selection goes. Same thing with the top. Okay, so I'll just feather it. Again, I like to feather it because I don't want the selection to be too harsh. So we're just going to click OK over here, and now that we have a rough selection, I'm going to put a mask, click on this. I'm going to invert the mask, Control I, and then, oh, you know what, before we do that, let's get rid of that. Before we do that, we are going to add the blur, because we want this to be a blur tool. As a matter of fact, we could just add the same blur that we did over here just by going to this blur, which adds our most recent, same degree. For the clouds, I like to add a little bit more, because I want the clouds to really be blurring out, as if it's a 10-stop ND filter. We'll hit OK on that, and now let's add our layer, and then Command I to inverse the layer, and then we're just going to paint with a brush. Right now I have the flow at 26%. We can start a little bit higher, maybe at like 40%. So let's go ahead and bring the brush smaller, and let's just go ahead and paint everything back in. And that is coming along nicely. You'll notice that I'm actually touching onto the buildings, and it's still not really impacting much of the overall image. And that's the way it should be because of the way that we utilize the blend if. Okay, and then of course we can go back and go back here to the mask, and we're going to go to, let's say, just a little bit higher, maybe like 80%, and then we're going to hide. So we're going to use a black brush to cover the buildings, just to make sure that whatever, see right there, there's a little bit of that flowing through. Same thing over here. And at the end of the day, if it looks like it's a decent mask, you'll notice over here it flowed through, so I'll hit Command Z to go back. And then, now if you do want to make sure that you have the best selection, you really want to spend a lot of time. For me, I'm posting this to social media, I'm not printing, and because of that, just a decent mask is going to be okay. I don't have to fine-tune down to every little pixel. So that's it. So we're done as far as our mask over here. So let's go ahead and turn that off, turn it back, turn it off, turn it back on, you'll see there's very little that's been impacted. Whatever was impacted, it's probably slight, like something right about there, the antennas in that building, which, again, it's not that big of a deal. If I want, I'll zoom in, and then if I really want, I can go ahead and just brush it. So for example, if I did that, but I'm not going to do that because that's going to introduce haloing. So Control 0 to go back, and that's what we have. So that is our final image. I will also do one last thing, which is to add a curves adjustment layer, which is going to make the overall image to kind of blend well together, because we have a fake sky and we fake the water. So go ahead and let's just kind of boost that up a little bit, and then maybe bring this down ever so slightly. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Off, on, so it's very slight. And then sometimes I like to do this. I like to go do another curves layer, go all the way down, and then could inverse that mask, Command I, and then I will take a brush and brush, or hit show. And what I'll do from here is to add more of a dramatic sky. You'll notice the clouds are getting blacker, or darker rather. But of course, we're going to then bring down the opacity of it, right? So something ever so slight like that. Not too dramatic, but it adds a little bit of drama to the clouds. And then if I really wanted to, I can just go ahead and hide that mask so that it doesn't impact. But you know what? I kind of like how the contrast is added to the World Trade Center, the Freedom Tower, and it actually makes sense. So that is it for this particular file. I'll go ahead and save it, and we are done, which will then go back to Lightroom. So again, here is our original image over here. Our original image, and let's go ahead and reset from the beginning. This is our original image, and then here is our final product. Thank you very much, folks, for watching. Please do me a favor and comment and let me know your thoughts on this photo. Does it look real? Is it too fake? Do you like it? Do you wish something was different? Whatever your feedback is, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks, guys. Take care.